George Lombard Jr. got called up to the MLB by the New York Yankees. He's since played really well and has excited a lot of Yankees fans who have been tired by lackluster shortstop play. Due to all the excitement, I figured I'd load up MLB The Show and we're going to play out his entire career. Will he be a Yankee lifer like Derek Jeter? Or will he be another bust at shortstop in New York? Let's find out. Also, take a moment and check if you're subscribed. If not, click that button for free right now. So before we get into this, I just want to let you guys know we are using base MLB The Show rosters, which is funny because they have George Lombard's brother, Jacob Lombard of the Marlins, as the 20th ranked prospect, and George is all the way down at 33. So do with that information what you will. But what I did is I simmed all the way to George Lombard Jr.'s real debut date, August 4th, and we call him up. Now, he was having a great season in AAA, which is good for his development purposes, but he started on this roster as a 72 overall, B potential. This is what he looks like in terms of the attributes. And over the years so far, he has gone up 4 overall, so he will be making his debut as a 76. Now, I have everything set to auto, trades, the roster management, the lineups and everything. All I did was actually do the call up. So here they have him batting 9th at shortstop and batting 8th at shortstop versus lefties. Yankees are looking great in first place right now, so we're going to see what George Lombard Jr. can do in the playoff run. And as you can see here, the Yankees finished 91-71. And we won the division, but we're gonna be in the wild card round. Looking here, it looks like Lombard lost his job versus right-handed pitching, but versus left-handed pitching, he is here. He went up another overall, which is great to see. And he ended up hitting 302, 772 OPS, and very limited at bats. He only played 17 games, 43 ABs. Did not hit a home run, but 3 doubles. Honestly, I think this is a great start to his career. I don't know how much run he's going to get in the playoffs. He's definitely clearly going to play against lefties. I don't know about righties. Looking here, though, it looks like we actually are not in the wild card round. We are the 2 seed, so we are waiting for the winner of the Royals and Rays in the ALDS. And it looks like it will be the Rays. Let's see how Lombard does. Oh, game 5 here. And we take it in a 5-0 win. All right, so then we get Houston. Another great series, but we're going to take it in 6. And the Yankees are in the World Series against the Diamondbacks, a rematch of 0-1. And the Diamondbacks take the first 2. They're up 3-1. We get back to 3-2. And we force a game 7. Can we come back? 3-1. We lose it in 7. And it looks like Ben Rice was actually the ALCS MVP. And we do not get an ALDS MVP, unfortunately. So no Lombard. And it looks like in the postseason, he did play 2 games. He ended up going 3 for 8. Drew a walk. I mean, he's off to a great start in his career. Now, it is a little bit frustrating that Jose Caballero is still starting over him. And it's truly just because of the overall. I feel like if you call up your top prospect, you should just start him every day. Hopefully they do that next year. And this is actually a great development here for the career of George Lombard. Jazz Chisholm Jr. moves over to the Astros on a 5-year deal, which opens up a spot in the middle infield. And the Yankees are going all in here. They're trading another top prospect in Dex Kilby at shortstop for Cade Smith. Looks like it's gonna be George Lombard's job for years to come. All right, looking here at the start of year 2, looking at the lineups, George Lombard Jr. is still not playing against righties, which is pretty crazy because not only are they starting Caballero, Lombard has a backup position of third base, a little secondary, and they have Willie Castro here over him. Here he is starting at a 77 overall. He does do much better versus lefties in terms of the hitting attributes. We hopefully can get a little bit of a contact boost versus right, some vision boost perhaps. And he is only 21 years old going into his first full season, so I do expect a lot of improvement here. He will confirmed be starting against lefties at least, batting 8th at shortstop. Kind of crazy that they have Cody Bellinger batting 9th behind him against lefties, but you know, is what it is. And another little fun thing, Gleyber Torres is now a Yankee again. But I'm going to sim through the year and we're going to find out how does George Lombard do in his first full season. Wow, another move that might actually affect Lombard a little bit. The Yankees just traded for Kazuma Okamoto. Big third baseman pickup. Obviously, it doesn't affect the shortstop position, but now Lombard truly has to beat out Caballero rather than trying to beat out Willie Castro as well. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. The Yankees are just throwing away one of their top prospects start of the careers. What is this? They just traded for Willie Adames, 86 overall. Lombard is not beating that for a while, and Adames has 5 more years on his deal. Classic Yankees not really trusting their young guys. I mean, this is unbelievable. And now that we're at the All-Star break, I'm very curious, like, what's going on with Lombard? They clearly don't trust him. I think they just sent him down. Oh my God, they sent him down. Now, admittedly, he's not doing amazing, but I mean, a 691 OPS start the career. He had 4 home runs in 26 games. You give him a 26 game leash and then send him down to AAA. This is unbelievable. He was developing too. I mean, he jumped 2 overall already versus righties, already looks better. That just blows my mind, man. What are we doing here? Honestly, I hope the Yankees trade him at this point. This is crazy. Now, admittedly, the Yankees do have an absolute god squad now, finishing the season at 96 and 66, obviously winning their division. Lombard ended up getting called up at the end of the year for September call-ups, and he's up to an 80 overall as a 21-year-old. That is insane. Hell of a start of a career right there. Jumps 3 overall this season. Looks better versus righties already. Any giant jumps. Fielding got a good jump, which is great. And he does already have 4 quirks in homebody, dead red, rally monkey, and situational hitter. He ended up getting 30 total games on the year. OPS is 648. So I think when he got called up, he actually struggled a little bit. 27 strikeouts and 97 at-bats is not ideal. But I mean, the kid can't get a rhythm when he's not playing at all, although they do have him playing versus lefties. They're sitting they're doing a platoon of Willy Adames and George Lombard Jr. That's actually crazy, but it kind of makes sense. Now, my question is, does George Lombard Jr. make the postseason roster? We are playing the White Sox in the divisional, and Lombard is here for the postseason roster. This is kind of crazy, but the Yankees do end up losing to the White Sox in 4 games, and that is going to be the end of the season. I don't know what they're going to do with Lombard here, because Adames just had one of his better seasons in recent history, and if we go down to his contract here, he is here for a while. I'm low-key hoping the Yankees use Lombard as trade bait at this point. But seeing who wins the World Series, the Dodgers defeat the Mariners in the 2027 World Series. They did trade for Pete Alonso this season, which was kind of crazy. But I'm going to sim all the way through next season. We're going to find out if George Lombard Jr. can solidify a starting spot somehow on this Yankees team. All right, scratch that giant offseason move. The Yankees just traded for J-Ram. J-Ram plus, and all it took was Hunter Dietz and Spencer Jones. The MLB The Show truly is a sight, let me tell you. I don't care if the man is 35 years old. He is freaking J-Ram and still a 94 overall. What is this game? On the bright side, George Lombard Jr. has a real chance to get some rings, even if he's just a platoon bat. All right, end of the season, the Yankees win 103 games. This is by far the best Yankees team we've seen. Shocking, they got J-Ram now. Looking at this, though, it looks like we had a pretty crazy winning streak. But how did George Lombard do as we finally get the 1 seed? And when I was looking earlier, Lombard was definitely on the team to start the season, but looks like he got sent down again. Or no, he actually got injured. He has a fractured leg, but it's towards the end of that, so it looks like he got sent down, then injured himself, because he is on the Rail Riders right now in AAA. Overall, though, he started as an 80 overall, moves up to an 83. I'm really not seeing any crazy jumps here, but he's just getting better at pretty much everything, just at a slow pace. Only 22 years old right now. It's only his 2nd full season. He only got 16 games with the Yankees this year, and he struggled in doing that with a 561 OPS, hitting 194. Only got on base at a 206 clip. This is pretty brutal, but also he's not really getting a chance. I've seen the Yankees trading a lot of prospects throughout this, including Jason Dominguez getting traded this year. So maybe they end up just trading Lombard at some point and he could become a full-time shortstop somewhere else. At this point, that's the hope. 22 years old, 83 overall. He's still, I mean, a very good player already. And for the postseason run, they sweep the Astros going into the ALCS. They take 1 game from the Mariners, but end up losing in 5. So a 103-win Yankee team still can't get it done in the postseason, and the Mariners will defeat the Pirates in the World Series in 2028. Another big offseason trade. Even though we have Jose Ramirez, we just traded for Michael Garcia and Pablo Lopez. Jose Caballero did get sent out in the deal, which is big for us, but I don't see how all these, I mean, you can only feed so many mouths, you know what I'm saying? I'll tell you this, the Yankees are really pack a bunch in this roster. All right, end of the season, Yankees, of course, are in the playoffs again as a wild card team with 97 wins. That is kind of crazy. And wow, did Lombard have a big development this year. He's up to an 86 overall from an 83. The fielding is getting incredible, and he's just still mashing lefties. Versus righties is getting quite better as well. And he is up on the major league roster, which is great to see. Ended up playing 50 games this year, 183 at-bats, 48 hits, 13 doubles, 2 triples, 8 home runs. And he was much more of a productive hitter. 262 average with a 318 on base. Would love to see that go up a little bit. He's just not walking a ton. But a 486 slug and an 804 OPS. This is something you'll love to see from, I believe he's 23 right now. He has not won an award yet. I figured maybe this year he'd get a chance at Rookie of the Year, but he's probably just played too many games at this point. And they do have him starting versus left-handed pitching, which means he's going to get a chance in the postseason this year. Yordan Alvarez is a Mariner, though. Our big rival is now the MVP, and it looks like I'm not even seeing a Yankee winning the award except like Gold Gloves or whatever, but I don't even think Lombard's going to have a chance at that because he's not a full-time player. In the postseason, though, in the wild card round, we are facing the A's, and we take that. It took all 3 games. We lose the first one, which is kind of crazy, but now we get the big Mariners. Can we get our revenge? It looks like no, we get swept. The Mariners really are the Yankees' kryptonite in this save, and the Mets will end up beating the Mariners in the World Series, so a New York team wins it. Although Yankees fans, I'm sure you're not very happy about that. But this season was a big development for George Lombard Jr. 806 OPS, clearly a starting caliber player. Hopefully he gets more of a chance this next season. Fun little development here. Kaz Okamoto gets traded to the Tigers. We get Carlos Lagrange back. I struggled with that last name for a sec, but that is big for Lombard because the starting third baseman is out of there. Although, was he the starting third baseman? Probably not. We had a lot of third basemen on this team. All right, end of the 2030 season. It was not good. Now, we were below 500 for a little bit, but we ended up 83 and 79. And let me tell you, before the deadline, the Yankees were making a ton of trades. A lot of nothing burger moves. I did see Michael Garcia get traded at some point this year, but yeah, this was not great. Now it looks like Lombard ended up getting a good shot in the lineup here, but he regressed, especially versus contact versus left. That is kind of crazy to see. A little bit of a regression from George Lombard Jr. down to an 85 overall. Now he did get a chance to be a full-time player this year, which is so great to see. Finally in his fifth season, 143 games. Got a full workload, 135 hits, 29 doubles, 22 home runs, adding 4 triples, 73 RBI. Ended up hitting 249 with a 307 on base, 439 slugging for a 746 OPS. 746 OPS in his first full-time season actually is pretty darn good in my opinion. Ended up having a 3-WAR season. Now he did not win any awards unfortunately, but I mean a 3-WAR season in your first full-time season as a 24-year-old, things we love to see. I'm hoping we can get that potential to raise a little bit because he's already being an 86 overall and getting capped is kind of disappointing. But he did end up the season starting at third base versus righties and shortstop versus lefties for anybody that cares. Gunnar Henderson was the MVP along with Michael Busch as the Diamondback is kind of crazy. Logan Webb as a Yankee does win the Cy Young, and in terms of other Yankees, I'm not really seeing any. Did Lombard get a chance at a Gold Glove? It looks like he did not. And at the end of the Cubs, as a Cubs fan, I'm very happy. The Cubs defeat the Mariners in the 2030 World Series. And I'm very curious, how do the Yankees bounce back after this season? And I was curious to see where Lombard stands in terms of top shortstops. It's not very high, I'll tell you that. He's probably the lowest starting caliber shortstop at this point. At an 85 overall, that's kind of crazy. A lot of good shortstops in the league. All right, we are at the end of the 2031 season, a 78 and 84 record. The Yankees are starting to tear it down. I saw them trade Cody Bellinger during this season. It's not looking good, but we don't necessarily care about that as much as we do George Lombard Jr. And Lombard is starting full-time, it looks like, which is great to see, but I see another regression. He's down to an 84 overall. This is kind of crazy to see. Yeah, everything is going down. This is truly bizarre. Another full season from him though, 128 hits in 141 games. He did have another, I mean, basically it's the same season he just had. 27 doubles, 21 home runs with 76 RBI, hitting 243 average, a 304 on base, a 426 slugging, and a 730 OPS. Did make 8 errors this year, so a bit of a regression on defense, and that caused him to go down to a 1.4 WAR. Man, that is tough to see. He has 2 more years of arbitration after this season, so he will be a Yankee until then. I'm curious to see what he would do in free agency at this point, though. A regressing 25-year-old shortstop, which is crazy to say. This is a disappointing start to his career, I'll tell you that, but hopefully we can get like some type of breakout season here the next few years. He's still very young. There is still a great chance that he could. But as you can see from this Yankee lineup, somehow they have Andy Pajas now. I don't know when that happened. This is a brutal team. We even got J-Ram down to a 77 overall. Pitching looks like it still has a lot of great pieces, which is good to see, but this Yankee team is going to have to do a lot of work, and I don't know if they're going to do that in the 2 seasons they still have George Lombard for. And at the end of the year, we get a rematch in the 2031 World Series of last year's World Series. This time, it's the Mariners defeating the Cubs. All right, end of the season. It was not great for the Yankees, let me tell you. 74 and 88 is brutal and probably their worst season yet. This is just a miserable end to Lombard's career as a Yankee, let me tell you. Now he is batting cleanup versus righties and batting 5th versus lefties, full-time shortstop officially. And I think that this was a better season. And he actually did get better. He regressed a little bit in the fielding, but he got better in the hitting versus lefties. He crushed lefties this year. A full 162. He did not get injured, which is great to see. 166 hits with 35 doubles, 5 triples, 23 home runs, 77 RBI. He did walk a lot more this year, which is great to see. A 270 average is a huge improvement. 332 on base is a great improvement. 455 slug for a 787 OPS. His best season in quite a while. And he ended up with a 4.6 WAR, which is much higher than he's had in the past. By far his career high, which is a great season. 4.6 WAR is a fantastic year. He did not win an award this year, and he has one more season under contract with the Yankees. 26 years old, coming off a career year though. Hopefully that his potential went up. I really hope that we can get him to just, bump up even to like an 89 overall. But I mean, if he keeps having seasons like this, he's going to stack together a pretty solid career. Looking around the league though, Yordan Alvarez collects another MVP. In the NL, it's going to be Shohei Ohtani. Cam Schlittler wins the Cy Young, but as a Mariner, this Mariners team is stacked. And a cursed image, Paul Skeens wins the Cy Young as a Dodger. Looking around here though, I think Lombard definitely made too many errors at shortstop to win the Gold Glove. Grady Emerson's actually going to do it though. Recent draft pick. But Silver Slugger, he had a pretty decent season, and he won't even be mentioned in the best hitting shortstops. And you know what? That is fair based on these seasons I'm seeing right here. Finishing out the rest of the year though, the Mariners will win another World Series back-to-back, this time against the Rockies. So what I'm gonna do here is sim through the offseason and the next season. Let's see what Lombard does in his last season as a Yankee. All right, end of the season, and the Yankees end up sneaking in as a wild card team, going 83-79. So we're gonna get another playoff run for George Lombard Jr. Looking at the lineup here, he is batting cleanup. He's back up to an 85 overall, which is something we love to see. So we get a big improvement. Contact versus left is looking fantastic. The contact versus right keeps falling, which is something we don't really like to see. Overall in the season, it looks like he got hurt at some point. He only played 130 games, ended up with 125 hits, 17 doubles, 19 home runs, 69 RBI, 253 average, 319 OPS, a 422 slug, and a 741 OPS. So a little bit of a regression, but nothing like too crazy. And even with that, he fielded a bit better this year, which means he ended up with 3.5 WAR. So he's up to almost 15 WAR in his career, which is not too bad, especially for a guy that's getting into free agency for the first time. He is 27 years old, and he did not sign an extension this season, so he will test free agency. All of his options are used too, so he will be signing a major league contract for sure. I know it's pretty obvious with that, but I mean, with the options and stuff, yeah, I mean, obviously he'll sign a major league contract. That's pretty obvious, but with those options being used, it does force him to be on a major league roster at this point. For whatever reason, MLB The Show will be sending out guys. For whatever reason, MLB The Show will be sending down guys in their prime. I've seen it before. It's really annoying. But before we get to free agency, let's see what the Yankees can do in the postseason. I'm not expecting much, but maybe a little bit of a run, and they sweep the wild card round, so they are going to the division series against the Rays, which is kind of cool to see. Tied series, we're up 2-1, and we're entering the ALCS against the White Sox. Is this the team of destiny? 3-1, and we will lose in 5 to the White Sox. That's a great run though from a good Yankees team. A lot better than I expected, let me tell you that. Let's see how Lombard did in the postseason. Wow, he actually did really well. Ended up hitting 353 with a 988 OPS, 2 home runs, 8 RBI. That dude, he played fantastic. Maybe he can leverage that into a great contract this offseason. I'm very curious what he will sign for. I'm also very curious if he'll return to the Yankees or not. We do end up losing to the champions. 2033 World Series will go to the White Sox over the Giants. What happens to Lombard this offseason though? I'm so curious. I'm so curious actually that I forgot to check our MVPs, unfortunately. Logan Webb's gonna retire to injury though, so that is something very interesting to see. And looking here, it looks like the Yankees end up signing back George Lombard Jr. So he is gonna be here for a while. As a 28-year-old, he signed a 7-year contract with the Yankees. That's gonna take him through his age 35 season, 22 mil a year. Not too bad. He might end up being that Yankee lifer we were talking about. Now, the team around him, they did end up signing a big first baseman in Richie Saul. I saw this. He looks kind of crazy. 25-year-old. He might have been one of those generational draft prospects. Coming over from the Rangers. Yeah, he had a 40 home run season. He's pretty darn good. Yankees also signed another good player in Kiki Blackwell, 23 years old. No, he was not signed. He was drafted by the Yankees, and he has been off to a pretty good start to his career. So a potential guy, he might end up being that guy in the middle infield over George Lombard Jr. at some point. In fact, he already is based on overall. Still great to see Lombard back. He is the 3-hitter versus lefties, and we'll see how this year goes with a little bit of a reloaded offense. All right, update at the end of the season. We end up as exactly a 500 team. 81 and 81 does not make the postseason. That will not do the job. How did our boy George do, though? Ended the season on fire. Things we love to see. He's still an 85 overall. Dude, he is just crushing lefties. Up to an 88 contact, +7 versus lefties. That is kind of insane. He's turned into an insane platoon bat. Power versus righties regressed a little bit, and that's pretty much it. Nothing else is really changing with him. His season, though, he played 136 games, 124 hits, 27 doubles, 8 triples, 19 home runs with 68 RBI, hitting for an average of 251, on base of 323, a slug of 453, and an OPS of 776. I think we're just kind of seeing what the player of George Lombard Jr. is, which is still a good player. End up with a 3.7 WAR this year. So a 3 to 4 WAR player every single season he's going to build a solid career off that. Already up to 18.6 over his career, but the team around him just has not been doing the job. He ended up playing third base versus right-handers because a 73 overall Francisco Lindor is playing shortstop at 40 years old. Yeah, right, buddy. Overall, though, pretty disappointing in the fact that he's not really improving. I was hoping we'd have a bit better of a sim than this. Still at like 28 years old, though, he could have like one of those late career resurgences before he starts actually regressing. Jordan gets another MVP. And in the NL, it's going to be Derek Curiel. Okay, another new name. Get Joe Lopez winning the Cy Young and Hunter Brown in the NL. Lombard not even in the running for Gold Glove at third base or shortstop, and in the Silver Slugger, same thing. I mean, he's not that guy. When you got Rock Chalowski, you know, hitting 37 home runs, it's just not going to happen. Skipping ahead though, the Twins end up winning the World Series in 2034 over the Cardinals. That's kind of a fun one right there. But Lombard is here to stay with the Yankees, so I'm gonna skip ahead a few years and see if anything happens that is cool. I'll let you guys know, and hopefully Lombard has a pop-off season where you can actually win an award or something. And actually, very quick update that just happened as I ended saying that last thing. Shohei and Judge both retired in the same season, both going into the Hall of Fame. Ohtani with a bit of a cursed home run number. I don't like that. Pretty cool to see Yankee legend Aaron Judge getting in there, though. I'm sure we're all very shocked. All right, a little bit of a development here. The Yankees are not any better. We just simmed the next season at this point, but they somehow acquired Jesus Made. So that has moved George Lombard Jr. officially to third base, and likely for the rest of his career, because I'm assuming Made is going to be here for a minute. Yes, he is. Very long contract. So Made, the shortstop of the future. George Lombard Jr., maybe not Derek Jeter, but potentially the A-Rod in this situation, although not anywhere near the hitter. All right, we have a bit of a resurgence in the year 2036. The Yankees win 88 games and are back in the postseason for the first time in a little while. I figure since we're back in the postseason, might as well check up on our boy George Lombard Jr. Still sitting at an 85 overall, which is good to see at 30 years old officially. So we likely will start seeing a little bit of a regression, but 142 games this year. I mean, it's been a lot of the same these last few years. He's just a 750 to 780 OPS hitter. This year, he did not hit for as many home runs, which is a little concerning to see, actually, especially considering he had played more games this year than the previous few. But looking at the WAR over here, 1.6, he did not field very well either over at third base. It seems like since he moved from shortstop to third base, that WAR is going down as well. But at 30 years old, he's sitting at a 22.5 WAR. So I'm looking, doing a little research here in Baseball Reference. So basically, JP Crawford right now is 31 years old, and he has a 22.6 WAR. So that's probably a good comparison on where George Lombard Jr. is at. There's also other names there like Kyle Schwarber, but he's a DH. Gunnar Henderson, but he's only 25. Bo Bichette and Jeremy Pena are sitting at 21.4 and 21.6, and they're 28. So that's another decent comparison, but they probably passed this 22.5 mark by the time they turn 30. Shout out JP Crawford, though. I didn't realize that he was up to 22.6 WAR. And the Yankees do win the wild card round against the Rays. Let's see what they can do against the Tigers in the divisional. So it was a much better season from this Yankee team, and they're going to the ALCS to face off against the Orioles, and we get swept by the Orioles. But a solid season from this Yankees team, and we end up losing to the champions yet again. 2036 World Series, the Orioles defeat the Reds. But at 30 years old, George Lombard Jr. still has not won an award. I don't suspect he will be getting better now that he has turned 30. So We're gonna sim out his career, see what he can do by the end, and will be a Hall of Famer, probably not, but I'm very curious to see where his career ends up finishing. All right, a little update from the 2038 season. George Lombard Jr. got traded. The Yankees have offloaded the guy that we were hoping was a lifer. He ended up getting traded along with Connolly Early and Zach Maxwell to the Angels for a right fielder named Brian Ono and a relief pitcher, Christopher Smith. So our first look at George Lombard Jr. in an Angels uniform looks like this. 32 years old, 85 overall. He is starting over Marcelo Meyer, who's 35 at this point. Although Meyer is better, so maybe he isn't starting over him. Maybe he's a platoon guy. With the Yankees, the last couple years, he has been a straight platoon guy. As you can see here, he crushes lefties. He is an absolute lefty masher. In total this season, though, it looks like he played a few more games than last year when he was a full platoon guy as well. I'm guessing he ended up starting when he got to the Angels. Not a great year, though. In fact, this was the worst year of his career in quite a while. He still ended up having positive WAR, but it's looking like Lombard's career is nearing its end. Even at 32 years old, I don't know. Romy Gonzalez, maybe. That's kind of who I'm comparing him to right now in my head. And just because I wanted to check, he is starting full-time for the Angels. So I'm guessing it was a little bit before the deadline move. And yeah, he's starting at shortstop versus lefties and at third base versus righties. Now, I will say the Angels are in the wild card round. So we're going to see if they can make a little bit of a run with Lombard. And they got swept in the wild card round. Classic Lombard at this point. So he will spend his last 2 years with the Angels, and then we'll find out if he gets another contract or not, but he hasn't regressed in overall at 32 years old, so we'll see what happens. Little update here. George Lombard Jr. is now 35 years old, and he got to the end of that contract. The Angels ended up trading him to the Reds for the last year of that contract, and he has signed another deal with the Reds. Still an 82 overall, still clearly a platoon guy. He crushes lefties still. He just can't do anything else. He is back with the Reds, though. He played a full season actually with the Reds, and you know, full-time player with the Angels, but I think he got hurt at one point. He ended up having a bit of a resurgence, an 809 OPS after that last season split between the Yankees and the Angels. So the Angels unlocked something in him. You know, that's pretty rare because typically you hear the Angels as not really player developers, but they developed him. And then that full season with the Reds, he did pretty well as well with 37 doubles, a lot more doubles than usual, with 19 home runs, and he ended up with a 777 OPS. So he's had a bit of a career resurgence, going back to being a full-time player, which is crazy because I figured at this point he would just be a lefty specialist. It is what it is, though. He did sign a 2-year deal worth $14.4 million a year. So at 35 years old, he'll be a free agent again at 37. This is probably his last like real money contract, if I have to think about it. And looking at this Reds team, I'm not seeing any real studs on it. Actually, this team is terrible. So he took this deal for the money. He's probably not going to win a championship, which is disappointing. He never got to win a championship. So from this point, I will take it to the end of his career. We'll see how long until he retires, and then I'll make sure to check where he ends up in the rankings of all-time players in terms of like WAR comparisons and stuff like that. We'll see at the retirement. And it is finally time after a lot of simming. 2045 is the year of retirement for George Lombard Jr. And he retires as an Oriole, which is kind of crazy. He retires due to age, of course, as he ended up being 40 years old in his final season of professional baseball. This is what he looks like at the end. He fell to a 57 overall, and at the end, honestly, he was he was just in high A ball. As you can see, his last actual season of Major League Baseball was 2043 with the Orioles, and he actually played a full season with them. It just ended up not being good. 226 average, 658 OPS. He ended up hitting some home runs still with 16, but it wasn't a great season. 2042, this was when the Reds traded him to the Cubs, and as soon as he got to the Cubs, they sent him to AAA, and that was that. When I saw him in AAA with the Cubs, I was kind of surprised that the Orioles actually let him play an entire season after that, and then he became a Red Sox for a while, but in their AAA system, and then back to the Orioles for high A. Total career numbers, though, he ended up with 1,779 hits, 358 doubles, 249 home runs is a lot more than I expected, 899 RBI. He hit 252 over his career with a 318 on base percentage, a 427 slug, and a 745 career OPS. Realistically is pretty good. That's above average. And his final WAR count was 32.1. And the exact comparison I can give you over an entire career, 32.1 WAR is Edgar Renteria, which would have placed him tied for 53rd all time with shortstops. Honestly, I'd say that's a very solid career. And he did end up winning no awards, unfortunately, but You know what? And he did end up winning no awards, unfortunately. Also unfortunate that he was not a Yankee lifer, but overall, I would say George Lombard Jr. had a very solid career and a very long one. Guys, if you want to see more career sims similar to this, please let me know down in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you in the next one.